You don't need a big glittering crystal collection to work with the magic of Mother Earth. In fact, some of the most powerful allies that I have ever worked with weren't actually bought, they were found. That river stone, a piece of flint, a shard of bone from the woods. And these objects carry story and energy and memory, and not because they are polished or they're rare, but because they've lived. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you the hidden magic of stones, bones, and shells and other wild objects, and how you can start working with them in a way that is shamanic and grounded, but also deeply personal. So stay with me. Whether you are new to stonework or you're already deep in it, this is the kind of magic that might just shift the way you see everything around you. Hey wild ones, welcome back to the channel, or if you are new here, hello. I am Emma Louise Dyson, shamanic witch, earth medicine woman, and the founder of Wild and Untamed. And here on this channel even, I teach shamanic witchcraft, earth medicine, and embodied magic that is rooted in the land, not in aesthetics or trends. So if that's your path too, hit that subscribe button, make yourself at home, put your feet up, grab a cup of tea, because I'm excited to share this with you today, because if today's topic speaks to something in your bones, you are absolutely in the right place. And make sure you stay tuned, because I'll also be sharing more about my upcoming shamanic stone medicine practitioner's diploma later in the video. Keep watching, and if you feel called to go deeper, then that could be something that is right up your street. So when most people think of working with stones, they picture beautifully cut and polished crystals, the kind that you find in shops that are wrapped in labels with keywords like abundance or protection. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with those, right? I have studied with the Gemological Institute of America. I have taught hundreds, if not thousands, of students in crystal healing, and I have sold gemstones to literally hundreds of thousands of people across the globe during the 20 years that I've worked in this industry. I even had my own crystal business called Rockchick. But the real depth of stonework, the kind that goes beyond these buzzwords, lives in the relationship. And some of the deepest relationships that I've personally had have been with stones that I have found while I have been walking the land. A piece of flint from a riverbank, a bone that was carried into my path by a fox, a hagstone from the coast. And these objects haven't been catalogued or cleansed or charged, and yet they hum with story. They're raw, they're alive. They're sometimes a little bit messy, just like we are. And in many shamanic traditions, stones are seen as ancestors, as elders, as teachers. They've witnessed more than we could ever imagine. And when we slow down enough to listen, not just to use them and work with them, but to actually listen, they speak. One of the most beautiful things about working with wild found objects is that they find you, right? A stone you can't stop holding, a shell that seems ordinary until you pick it up and you feel something shift, a bone that's left in your path that you know is a sign to your soul. So there are so many different natural objects that we can work with. Flint, for example, has been used across cultures for protection, for spark, for ancestral connection. It is sharp, it is ancient, and it is deeply tied to fire and survival. Bones, especially if found ethically and respectfully, can become really powerful guides in ancestral work, in spirit journeying. They speak of death, yes, absolutely, but they also speak of lineage. They also speak of resilience. I have bones on my altar that have been with me for years, and not because I sought them out, but because they arrived when I was ready to listen. So one of them is a tiny hedgehog vertebrae. Shall I get it? So this is a tiny hedgehog vertebrae. And I found this poor creature on a path, and he'd clearly been on this path for some time, and it broke my heart that people were just walking over him. So I picked him up and I went to go and lay him underneath a nearby tree to rest. And as I did, his spine stayed in my hand. And this vertebrae now rests inside a small bird's nest, which I found in a woodland. It had fallen out of a tree, and I found this in a woodland where a tree was planted for my dad after he passed. So this holds so much to me: grief, connection, tenderness, protection. Yeah, really feeling all of that just talking about it. I also have a fox vertebrae, which is attached to my staff, along with an owl claw that my partner salvaged from roadkill on his way home from my house when we first started dating. And a couple of years ago, we both took part in a roadkill handling and life honoring workshop. And it's become a really deeply meaningful part of our life and our practice. And my partner actually makes magical tools. He makes cleansing fans and wands and staffs, shamanic drums, cord cutting tools, all using salvaged woods and hagstones and ethically sourced bones and feathers and wings. And if that sounds like something that you would like to see more of, I will tag his Facebook page below so you can have a look at some of his work. But these items aren't decoration, right? They're not just cool witch stuff. I mean, they are cool witch stuff, but they are sacred, and they hold stories, and they've chosen to be part of this work. So the next question is, how do you actually begin working with a stone or a bone or a found object like that? Well, the first thing I'm going to say is you don't need to rush into using it, right? It isn't about grabbing something and making it fit into a spell or a ritual. The whole process starts with listening. And when I find something, whether it's a stone on the canal path or it's a piece of shell that's been washed in by the sea, I take it home and I just live with it for a while. So I might place it on an altar, or even on my bedside table, or under my pillow, or carry it in my pocket or my purse. And I'll notice how it feels in my body when I hold it. What thoughts are brought up? What dreams show up? Sometimes I'll do a shamanic journey with it to get more insight, or I'll simply sit in silence with it in my hands and just see what arises. So if you're somebody who's more kind of journal oriented, then you could write with it nearby to you and kind of see what comes through, see what channels through. And when it feels right, I'll sometimes cleanse it using smoke or water or just some time in the earth. And that is not to strip its story, but it's actually to mark that it's now part of my practice. And I don't rush. And I don't rush to align it a purpose or to program it. I just let it show me where it wants to work and how it wants to work. And if it wants to be on an altar or come into a ritual or just travel with me or simply just sit quietly in the space, I listen. So some stones are for healing, some are for holding, some don't do anything obvious, they just are. And that's kind of magic too as well, right? But with that said, I would like to share with you some ways that you can actually work with these natural energies. And one of the easiest ways to start working with wild stones or natural objects is to pay attention to the energy that they carry and then match that with something that you're moving through. Let me give you an example. I've already talked about Flint. It has this sharp, ancient fire energy. It is brilliant for protection. It is amazing for cutting through confusion or for sparking clarity. You could place it at your front door as a warding stone, or you could hold it during some really serious decision making that you had to do when you need to kind of stop second guessing yourself. Like, that's the kind of energy of Flint. Then you've got, say, a smooth river stone, and that feels completely different, right? It's soft, it's rounded, it's worn by time and flow. And I like to add one of these during breath work just to hold onto it. Or after I've had a really tough conversation with somebody, or, you know, if I'm doing something that is bringing up lots of emotions, because it really helps to like soothe my nervous system, just like water would. And you could also use it in a cord cutting work as well. So this is quite interesting because you would usually think of sharp stones for cord cutting. But if you're ready to release something with gentleness and not with force, you could work with a beautiful river stone for your cord cutting ritual. And if you'd like to do a cord cutting ritual, I have a free bundle. It's got a guided meditation. It's got a new moon. No, it's got a full moon ritual. It's got a guided ritual, and it's got a workbook. It's free, and I'll link it below. It is really powerful for cutting cords and letting go. Next up, shells, especially ones with a spiral or with a cup shape. These are beautiful for emotional rituals. You can pour water into them, which is one of my favorite things to do. You can use them to hold your tears, or you could speak into them during grief. Beautiful way to work with that energy. And bones, they carry a different energy altogether. They often speak to ancestry, to endings, to deep truths. You know, you might place one on your altar when you're doing some shadow work, or you might bring it into a psychopomp or into a spirit connection journey as well. I love doing shamanic journeys with bones. And then we have hagstones. These are the naturally hold stones that you find by water, and these are often used for protection, for spirit sight, for the liminal work. And you could hang one above your bed to ward off nightmares. You can use it in dream magic. You can hold it up and gaze through the hole as a way to shift your perception before you do some kind of scrying or journeying. And the more that you work with these objects, the more that they will reveal their own personalities to you. So let yourself be curious. Try one thing, right? And just notice how it lands. Because this path isn't about doing it right. I'm going to say that again. This path isn't about doing it right. It is about relationship, right? So if this kind of work speaks to you, if you feel this pull to kind of deepen your connection with stones, then I've got something awesome coming up. If you want to move beyond the surface of kind of crystal healing and move into like real relationships and rituals, and reverence, then I would love to invite you to join the waitlist for my Shamanic Stone Medicine Practitioner's Diploma. We are opening in September, and it is the most in-depth training that I offer on the magic, the medicine, and the spirit of stones. We're going to go deep into shamanic journeying, stone allies, ancestral tools, crystal healing, energetic anatomy, land-based magic, and there'll be a whole load of science in there as well, because I love the crossover between the science and the metaphysics. And all of this is taught through this lens of living connection. And the best thing about it is that it's fully accredited. So whether you're kind of just doing this for yourself to deepen your knowledge, or if you want to bring stone medicine into your professional practice, you'll be supported, you'll be recognized, and you'll be certified every step of the way. You don't need any experience. You just need a willingness to learn and to listen and to slow down and to honor the stones as the elders that they are. So I'll pop the link below if you'd like to be the first to hear about it when it opens. And if you've got a stone, a bone, a wild object that's become part of your practice, I'd love to hear about it. Please do share in the comments, drop a comment, let me know a little bit about what you've got. Let's start a bit of kind of a story thread down there, because I'd love to hear from you. And if you haven't done it yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss up on what is coming next, because my Lammas Lunasa video drops next week. It is a good one. It is all about real life harvests, ritual and seasonal magic that actually fits your life. So if that sounds like your kind of thing, then I will see you next week. In the meantime, look forward to connecting with you further. Enjoy the rest of your day. Stay cool, won't you? And I'll see you in the next video.